I had barely unloaded the last moving box from my truck when I saw her. Blonde bob, sunglasses perched like a crown, clipboard in hand, she marched toward me with the determination of someone who's never lost an argument, or so she thought. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice dripping with manufactured politeness. "I'm Karen, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. I assume you've read the rules?" I glanced at her, then at my new house. "Just moved in. Haven't had time for a bedtime story yet." She didn't laugh. "Well, you'll find that we value order here. Your moving truck is parked 2 inches over the curb. That's a $50 violation." I nearly choked. "You're fining me. During my move-in?" Karen scribbled something on her clipboard. "Also, your grass is above regulation length. Another violation. The HOA takes these matters very seriously." I bit back a grin. This was going to be fun. She had no idea who she was talking to. The truth, I wasn't just some new homeowner. I was a real estate investor. And, by a stroke of cosmic irony, the very building where the HOA had its official headquarters belonged to me. I'd bought it months earlier as part of a commercial property deal. They'd been renting the office space from an anonymous landlord. Ever since, never knowing it was me. Karen kept going, ticking off violations like she was getting paid per complaint. My trash bins weren't in the approved storage area. My welcome mat was the wrong color. I hadn't submitted a move-in notice to the HOA board. Finally, I interrupted. "Karen, is this how you greet all your new neighbors?" She smiled tightly. "Only the ones who think the rules don't apply to them. I'll expect payment for your fines by Friday, or we'll escalate." "Oh, I wouldn't dream of ignoring your letters," I said, hiding my amusement. "In fact, I'm looking forward to working with you." Her eyes narrowed, suspicious but not yet understanding. She handed me a packet of HOA bylaws thick enough to double as a doorstop, then strutted away like a queen leaving her court. I looked down at the stack of rules, shook my head and muttered, "Let's see how you like my rules, Karen." The game had just begun. 2 days later, I walked into the Willow Creek HOA headquarters. The little brick building sat on Main Street, sandwiched between a coffee shop and a pet groomer. The glass door bore their logo in fancy gold lettering, as if that made their endless rules feel more important. Inside, the air smelled faintly of coffee and printer toner. A receptionist, middle-aged, glasses perched at the tip of her nose, looked up. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Yes," I said, offering my most polite smile. "I'm the landlord, just here to check on my tenants." Her eyebrows shot up. "Landlord?" I reached into my bag and pulled out the property file. The lease agreement, signed by the HOA president herself, was right on top. Karen emerged from a back office, still clutching her beloved clipboard. Her expression shifted from smug to startled when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" "Routine inspection," I said, walking past her into the office space. "Gotta make sure my building is being properly maintained." "Your building?" she repeated, like I'd just told her I was the mayor. "Yes," I said casually, running my hand along the wall. "Didn't you read the lease? This commercial space belongs to me. I believe the HOA pays me rent on the 1st of every month." Her face drained of color. "That's impossible." "Not really," I said. "You see, I buy property. Sometimes that property happens to house annoying organizations." Her jaw tightened. "If you think this changes anything, you're mistaken. The HOA is still the governing body of Willow Creek." "Oh, I wouldn't dream of interfering," I said, with the kind of smile that promises interference. "I just think it's important we have mutual respect." She glared, but I could see the gears turning. She'd stormed over to my house expecting me to grovel, but now she realized I could, at any time, raise her rent, cut certain privileges, or, if I really felt like it, end their lease. "Is that a threat?" she asked sharply. "Of course not," I replied smoothly. "It's simply a reminder that power can be shared. And if we're going to be neighbors, I'd rather we get along. But if you keep sending me violation notices, well, maybe your board meetings will need to be held in the park." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You wouldn't." I leaned in slightly. "Try me." For the first time, Karen had nothing to say. As I left, I glanced back at the reception area. The receptionist was watching with wide eyes, like she'd just seen someone poke a bear with a stick. And the bear, I thought, was about to realize it had wandered into my cage. Karen might have been rattled, but she wasn't the type to retreat quietly. By the following Monday, I had 3 new HOA violation notices stuffed into my mailbox. One for improper garden ornament placement, my bird bath, apparently was too whimsical for community standards. One for excessive driveway slope, which was laughable, and one for hosting an unregistered pet my friend's golden retriever had visited for a few hours. She was trying to bury me in paper cuts. I decided to return the favor, legally, of course. That afternoon, I sent the HOA a formal letter as their landlord. It politely reminded them that their building's lease prohibited activities that cause excessive noise, disruption, or community tension. I also included a request for the HOA board to submit all meeting minutes to me for record-keeping purposes. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Karen. "This is harassment," she snapped before I could say hello. "Harassment?" I said sweetly. "Karen, I'm simply making sure my tenants comply with their lease. You wouldn't want to violate your rental agreement, would you? Because that could trigger consequences." "You can't evict us," she barked. "Technically, I can," I said. "But I'd much rather keep good tenants. Good tenants don't spend their time writing bogus citations for their landlord." There was a long silence on the line. Then she hissed, "You think you're clever?" "I don't think," I said. "I know." The next HOA board meeting came just 2 days later, and I decided to attend. I walked in wearing my best suit, a thick binder tucked under my arm. The board members, 3 middle-aged men and 1 woman, who looked like Karen's twin, looked uncomfortable as I took a seat at the head of the table. "This is a closed meeting," Karen said immediately. "Not when the landlord is here," I replied, opening my binder. "By the way, your copier lease is expired. I can get you a better deal, or I can take it away." One board member cleared his throat. "Maybe we should listen to him." Karen glared at him like he'd just betrayed the kingdom. We went through the meeting's agenda, and I made little comments here and there, always polite, always reminding them that I owned the walls around them. I could feel Karen's blood pressure rising with every word. When I left that night, I knew one thing for certain. Karen wasn't going to stop, but neither was I. This was no longer just about HOA rules or lawn height. This was war. A week later, Karen made her boldest move yet. I came home to find a giant, laminated final notice sign taped to my front door. According to her, I had 72 hours to remedy ongoing violations or face legal action from the HOA. I almost laughed. Legal action? From tenants? That was the last straw. I decided it was time to end this. The next morning, I walked into the HOA headquarters with a calm smile and an envelope under my arm. Karen was mid-rant with one of her board members, but she froze when she saw me. "What do you want now?" she snapped. "I'm here on landlord business," I said, placing the envelope on her desk. "Inside is a notice of non-renewal of your lease. You have 30 days to vacate this building." Her eyes went wide. "You can't do that!" "Oh, I can," I replied, my voice steady. "The lease is month to month. You've violated terms repeatedly by engaging in disruptive activity, and I no longer wish to continue our rental agreement." "You're bluffing," she said, but her voice cracked. I leaned forward. "Karen, you've been using this office to bully your neighbors, including me. And since you love rules so much, I'm simply following mine." She grabbed the paper and read it, her hands shaking. The board members in the room avoided eye contact. One of them muttered, "We can't run the HOA without an office." I straightened. "That's not my problem. Maybe you can hold your meetings in someone's garage. Or better yet, in the park, you know. The one with all those unapproved lawn ornaments." For the first time since we met, Karen looked defeated. I turned toward the door, but paused. "Oh, and one more thing. If you drop all my violations and stop bothering me, I might be willing to lease the building back to you at the current rate. Otherwise, I've already got a coffee shop interested in the space." Her face twisted in a mix of rage and panic. "Fine," she spat. "We'll drop it." "Good," I said with a satisfied smile. "I think we'll get along much better now." By the end of that week, every bogus citation against me had magically disappeared. The HOA newsletter even welcomed me to the neighborhood, though I'm sure Karen typed it with gritted teeth. I didn't need to raise their rent. I didn't need to evict them. They just needed to know who really held the keys. And in Willow Creek, it wasn't the HOA, it was me.